Satan isn't against good morals. Satan is against Jesus Christ.
We've created this life for ourselves that biblically God did not design us for.
You can have your integrity and still be successful. It's so much easier in retrospect to live according to that defined moral.
Welcome to the Y2 Fitness Podcast. Today I have Abbey Hilton of Focus Functional Fitness. How are you today, Abbey?
I'm good. I'm really excited about this, actually, because it's two people I've known for many, many years, both for different reasons, and just for us to come back together here today is pretty cool.
Well, and the greatest thing is, because we also have Ciera back on the show, Ciera Clemons.
Hey, everybody.
And I was talking to Ciera actually just a little while ago about how we knew Abbey. And the funny thing is like we both really don't know you personally.
But like we know of each other. It is so funny because it's just been from afar, but it's like I know you and it's like she's a good girl. Like I know, and you just sometimes know people just by how
like
you
interaction
feel around them and the little interactions that you get from them.
Oh, for sure, which actually segues into our topic today.
Yes.
Which I reached out to you and you had a topic on your mind, which the topic was maintaining values in the fitness industry. And the crazy thing is that you said that, you're like, oh, I know, we know that she's a good girl. You've seen that. Mm-hmm. When I was talking to Ciera, she said the exact same thing about you. What'd you say about her?
I was like, Abby's such a sweet girl. Every time I've had an interaction with her, I'm like, she's just, it's been the greatest interaction every time.
It's so true. And that is so true. That's how I see you, but it's the ambiance you have.
Yeah.
It's how you interact with people. It's how you smile. It's an authentic smile. It's authentic conversation. And you don't see that a lot in the gym.
Oh, for sure.
You don't. Yeah. Well, that was something I had mentioned about Abbey too, is that, you know, with Abbey, it's like, she's not like these other girls, these other gym girls. Like, you know, she's a modest girl in the gym. You know, she's not out there like flexing on Instagram.
No.
Like, that's not her style. But that's what I love so much about Abbey, is that she's just like, I'm just here to get my workout in, you know, like, here to be a good coach.
Yeah,
like,
that's it.
But we're not, you know, standing here flexing in front of the camera 24/7.
Well, hold on. I think I've seen Abbey.
I've had some biceps.
But that's the great thing is when you do maintain that lower profile, the moment you make any type of wave, you then can make a big wave with very little effort.
The impact is way higher because you don't stand out. You're not like everyone else.
Right.
You're not doing what everybody else is doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I've talked to plenty of people about this, and like we say, especially with what we're talking about today in maintaining values, it's very hard to maintain core values in a superficial environment. Ooh. So, you know, this environment runs on physicality. This environment runs on people looking good, and we kind of forget, which I was talking to you about a little bit just a second ago, that there is more to fitness than just what it does to you physically. And it's I think sometimes we kind of put too much emphasis on that physical and superficial part, especially with all the social media and stuff. It takes away from the healing part of it and the strength part of it. So it's really hard to break that barrier, but it can be done, and you can have your integrity and still be successful, you know, and that's what I try to do. I mean, I'm not, you know, I have my moments where I'll post a picture and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I just, you know, and then, but it's so overall, if like globally your dignity's intact and you have, your intentions aren't to just, you know.
Mm-hmm. And I like that this place is called Focus Functional Fitness. Don't get me wrong, functional fitness gets a bad rap here and there through when people are training, but that's because they don't really understand it. They're not applying it right. But I like the name because it's about function. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to fitness in general, everyone's fitness should not look alike.
No.
We're all individual. We all have different issues, weaknesses, mentalities, so much that the main thing that I think we're all trying to do is function better.
Yeah.
You know, that could look like, hey, I need more superficial muscles because then I'm happier. Okay,
right.
That's you. I'm not saying that's right.
Right.
But that's what we're really looking for, is a higher degree of function.
Yes, and I will even say that to people once in a while, and especially with people that just generally want to come in so that they can go to Mayo Clinic and have a clean bill of health, and they say, okay, I just want better bone density, and I just want more muscle mass, and metabolically I want to be, perform a little bit better and things like that. And so they'll come and they'll be like, well, is my form, is my toe position right? Is my hand position right? Is everything right? And I'm like, if you want this to translate into serving a function in your life, everything is unpredictable. Yes. You are not going to pick that crumb up off the floor in the same way you do it 5 minutes later. They're like, well, it's my toe and everything. And I'm like, I'm not that concerned about that exactly. But all I want you to do is be able to do that without, blowing your back out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that is something that the fitness industry totally is missing. We're too focused on everything of bigger arms, bigger glutes, bigger this, bigger that. I'm like, can we just get back down to the basics of just getting to the necessities? Because we are missing out on the longevity aspect of it. Where a lot of us are looking at the short-term goals of how can I achieve a better body? It's like, well, why is that the aim that you're looking for? Why are you wanting to achieve a better body? What is that going to do for you long term?
Oh yeah, and then you see so achieving that, and you're going to get the 8-pack, and you're going to get the striations, and you're going to get this perfect body, and then you're going to drop dead of a heart attack. In the bodybuilding world, I cannot tell you how often I'm seeing someone gone too soon, this, that, but they had the perfect body aesthetically. Yes. And then all of a sudden, they want to, and then it's people, I was in that world for a while, the supplement world, and, how can we get this, how can we look like this but faster, how can I look like this but better, and that world is so run by, products that are poison, and products that your body is not supposed to function at the size that it's not meant to function. So, and then you're seeing, and I know you were in that space.
I was in it 100%. I've been in the steroids. I started steroids when I was like 17.
Oh wow!
And
I feel like I know that phase.
Yeah, so that's 17 years ago or so, or whatever it is. Yeah, but the thing is I didn't know what to do. People still don't know what to do in fitness. We're guessing. If doctors are still practicing, what the heck are us personal trainers and nutrition doing?
Right.
Like, let's be real here.
Yeah.
Let's be real here.
Yeah.
But I did do that. And I did it in the worst way. Like, I'm taking the most powerful steroid with no testosterone and no post-cycle therapy. So, that's how I started. And I knew it was wrong, but it was because I wanted that other effect. There was a pain in that, but that's why we're here today.
Wow.
Because I made it to IFBB Pro. I did it in a way that I barely had to work, even because I was obsessed with how to do the least amount of work with the maximum amount of impact.
Yes.
And I turned pro and people were like, "How do you do that?" Like, I literally went from last place at Southern States and 2 weeks later turned first. Because I just knew what I needed to do,
and that's it. It's the strategy.
Oh, it's always
it's strategy, and it's not. That's the thing with bodybuilding. It is literally superficial. It is literally like what you just said. How can I put the least amount of work in to get the most possible benefit? And it frightens me.
And some people are, how can I do more and more and more and more, which frightens me even more, because they're just doing more and more and more to get there. I at least tried to do the least amount, because if I would have relied on the steroids and all the cardio and all this and all that, I probably would be one of those statistics of being dead.
Yeah.
But luckily I had God in my life, even though I wasn't committed to him. He wasn't the Lord of my life or any of that. He still, I was grown up in the church.
Right.
Morals were instilled in me that were of the Bible.
Right.
And although I was doing horrible things, I would never steal. I would never cheat. I wouldn't lie, because I just understood that those things make my life harder. And now as I grow up as a Christian, what I'm starting to understand and really seeing is that sin and all things that people say, that the Bible says don't do, most of us look at that as like, well, you're robbing me of my fun. You're robbing me of my fun. You're not, wait a minute, that's not me. That goes against what I feel, what I think.
Yeah.
So it goes against their morals or whatever they're saying. So then we've looked at it as bad. But here's the thing. When I look through all of that and I actually gave my life to that in the little bursts and pieces, it's always better. And now I've gotten to realize that sin is actually the only thing that is holding us back to realize our true potential.
Of course.
To realize who we really are, because God created us. So therefore, when we finally do and go and do the things we know we ought to do, because the Bible says it's a sin to know what you ought to do and not do it.
Right.
Period. You know, that means like I need to go work out. And you think you need to work out and you don't. That could be a sin simply because because you're going to beat yourself up.
Right.
But when you're doing what you need to do, and that's why we're here today to talk about morals, because so many people out here are doing things they never thought or dreamed they would do simply to get more likes, more attention, more and simply just to feel good.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And it's become more about lust of the eyes and lust of the flesh, right? So our purpose behind why we're doing what we're doing. And that's why, like, I have so much respect for a lot of people in the fitness industry who give their lives actually over to men and women who are looking to have goals in their life to work on a better health in their life, right? But then there are other individuals, like I myself was doing this for a long time too. It's like, I just want a better physique. I don't know why, I just do. Like, it's just going to look great. I will say this about fitness is that there is a great discipline in fitness that will carry you through a lot of life. If you can be disciplined in the gym, you can be disciplined through a lot. But having good morals in the gym too, from a perspective of what's helped me, especially in my walk, you know, coming to the Lord, of like, I've noticed things of like, okay, well, Ciera, like, how are you dressing in the gym? Because that's been huge for me. I've noticed guys that would just stare, and it's like, first of all, you don't want the attention.
Right.
You know, some women may want the attention,
but
until you give it to them.
right. I know, and that's
and then they make you feel like you're the worst person in the world.
Right. So, it's like, look at me. Ugh, gross. Don't look at me. You know what I mean? It's like, right. They want all the attention, and then they'll be like, oh, can you believe this guy was in my DMs? Like, so gross.
It's like the meme with the girl wearing the tight, big old shirt that you can't see anything, and then she tucks it into her pants, and it's like her butt's hanging out.
Her butt, right,
it's like,
exactly.
Don't look at me, butt.
I know, don't look at me. But still, it's that it and it's wild because it's contradictory. You know, it's contradictory to us because what I find that is happening generationally is that women are now having this artificial sense of power in their independence, in their ability to flaunt themselves, whereas that's actually making them inferior. You know what I mean? So it's like now you've got, you know, OnlyFans, and you've got this, and you've got, and they're like, I am, you know, this is utilizing my power as a woman, as this, and I'm like, you are literally objectifying yourself in a way that you are saying that you don't want to objectify yourself, but you're actually objectifying yourself for your own benefit. You know, you are the sum, you're becoming the sum of your parts. And, you know, that's, and I have a whole, you know, I have my own thoughts on that. I think women
what is your theory behind why women subject to themselves to do that? Because I don't think many 9-year-olds are growing up dreaming to be porn stars here.
Right.
Or be on OnlyFans. So why do you believe that there's such a major shift in womanhood, offering their body to up just for every male to see?
I think it's normalized. So I think that OnlyFans is so accessible. When we were young, it was channel 52 and it was fuzzy, and if you got like 1 second, and it was like, that was our, you know, that was all we got. Now it's like, I put, you know, I do an Instagram search and I have all of this at my fingertips. It is normalized. So it is totally normal for you to look at someone and be like, oh, I know exactly what she looks like in, you know, a bra and underwear.
Well, we're at the point now people are wearing see-through things and breastfeeding all over Instagram, everything.
It's completely inappropriate. So, you know, so why do I think that? I think it's because like I said, I think it makes women feel powerful, and I think it's just an easy way to utilize what you have. It doesn't require working hard. It's an easy out. It's something that you have, and it's a quick way to make money. And there's something with women that now, especially in our day and age, there's a sense of power with having more money, which I am, I've always been brought up to think that hard work equals, good earnings.
Yeah.
Like you earn what you make. And so even still, I am on the floor. I don't, the only money I make is what I put out.
Yeah,
so
we 100%, especially in the culture today, have lost that touch, right?
Yeah.
The touch of working hard, but also just getting back to being like what a woman is. Like, what does even being a woman mean today?
Right.
Because we have, I think, lost a lot of that touch.
Of course.
And as a woman, I feel like it's so important to be what we were made to be and be a nurturer and be a caregiver.
Yes.
And
Your feminine energy is your God-given right.
Right.
Yes, and that's something that should be honored, right?
Right. But we are pushing today, men and women are pushing the bundle of how can I earn more but work less, right?
Yes.
Right? So how can I get more but do less in that? And so women now are wanting to come up to equal rights with men, saying, well, anything a man can do, I can do. Right. And we want to be equal to them, but we weren't made to be equal to men.
No. And that's where I think that...
And we're losing so much of... Men are losing their masculinity because of it.
Girl.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could go... we could go this route and we could get real controversial. And I'm just thinking...
Yes.
And I'm...
It's okay.
Because that is something that I see. And I am... And I'm not even saying anything, but I made myself to be where I am today as a business owner, as somebody that has a home, so I have these aspects of independence. I have these aspects, but I can't wait until I find that person that I can submit myself to in a way of like, hey, this is my partner, and I am here to serve and, make your life better. And I think that's lost, and I feel so sorry for males our age, males in this generation that have to now kind of be, expected to, I was talking to a friend the other day from high school, and he's like, yeah, this girl just said, if I don't make at least 300 grand, then it's like, why am I even dating you if you're not making at least, or something. So they're expected to make more, but then they're like, no, we're totally equal. We're equal. You know what I mean? It's like, no. You have to make more, but we're still equal. And I expect...
Well, it's not even equal. They're asking for him to pay all the bills and all that stuff, and anything she makes, she gets to keep to herself.
Right. Or,
like,
but I'm not going to provide. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to have dinner because that you can do that yourself. I'm not going to have dinner cooked, and I'm not going to, be a stay-at-home mom because God forbid. And you know what? Listen, I'll be transparent here. I am 33 years old. I don't know if I'm ever going to have children. I have a niece and nephew that live with me, and I see how my sister cares and serves her children, and I am just amazed at what that takes. And she still holds a job. She has to do whatever she has to do, but I am so amazed. The job of a mother is so incredibly just beyond anything I could ever do. I mean, I see it and I'm just like, this is beyond incredible. And and the fact that people are so quick to say, I'm going to still work and I'm going to, hire this person. I'm going to have a night nurse. I'm going to have a day nurse. I'm going to have a lunch nurse. I'm going to have a dinner nurse. I'm going to have this. It's not what we've, it's not traditionally sound. You know what I mean? It's no longer traditionally sound. And that makes me, and it saddens me to see people that are our age that still would really like to have something traditionally, some kind of traditional foundation. And that doesn't mean there's any like inferiority or anything. That is people put those labels on themselves. I mean, these are just roles that you might know more than I do, which I would love to learn more about, is how roles were very much defined biblically and how that has been and how that has been, now relabeled and reframed, and people put their own spin on it.
Yeah. Well, remember too, women were really, a lot of back in the 70s and 60s, it was really getting pushed that people were telling women, like, women were getting together, we should really, because they were already homemakers. And so they were saying, you should really go out and do something for yourself, right? As if being a mom wasn't enough.
Right.
And so now we've come into society today where women are very independent.
Yes.
I don't need a man. Or I'm just going to use a man.
Right.
right. Just for play. And so we've created this life for ourselves that biblically God did not design us for.
Right.
God designed us to be man and woman. And in Genesis, he talks about how Adam was made first, and from the rib of Adam was made Eve.
Yep.
God made him a helper, and that is what he designed women to be, was to be a helper to the man.
Yeah.
And, men and women were supposed to come together and build a life together, and man was supposed to be head over household. And right? And mom was supposed to be the mom to her children, and to staying home and taking care of her children, and cooking dinner and cleaning and doing those things. But we have gotten away from that. And there was a huge movement, I think, in the 60s or 70s of women starting their own rights and women empowerment.
Oh, yeah. Right? Just in general in the workforce in the 70s, that's when the Green Law actually was removed. And the Green Law was that nothing can be open on Sundays. And a bunch of people in New York were like, hey, how can we make more money in retail? Oh, let's just open up Sundays.
Right.
And boom, nationally, all of a sudden people are doing it. Now we're on this...
Stay strong, Chick-fil-A.
Work. Like, you're in that work mentality. But I think it really boils down to is one huge thing, because, and for a caveat, I believe that almost all race wars, gender wars, and all the things that are going on stem hugely from this problem alone, is that we do not define the words that we are using while we use them. So we have to look at the definition of those words with our own lenses. So I think Christian, and half the people of this, or maybe even more in this country, are going to think bigot, judgmental, all this stuff. But I look at it as the most least judgmental people, because this is my definition. And you have to go down all the way to it. And we have to look at it as like, well, we need to define what certain words mean.
Right.
Which goes into what is woman, like you were saying, because now it's turned on their heads, where woman empowerment now has every man doing a woman thing now too, and men are just dominating that as well.
Right. Yeah.
Because anytime you go away from that definition, that the true definition, which goes right back into what this whole podcast is about, which is morals. Yeah. We need to define our morals beforehand, not during.
And define them without, you said that so well, and it was seeing it through a lens of this influence of, we see a fogged lens. You've been able to pause. It's like one of the best things I've learned in therapy. He's like, it is all in the pause, and it's pausing, and it's looking back at something objectively. So that's like in the Bible. The words of the Bible are stamped into the Bible. They are objectively written. They are black. They are white.
Right.
So you could put your own spin on it. Dad joke. Yeah. Had to. So so those are literally objectively the words, but then it's like, well, I'm going to take this word, I'm going to put a little bow on it, I'm going to spin it around, and I'm going to say, well, this actually means that women were really inferior here, and women had no power, and this, that, and the other. And so, but because of such major influence from voices now that are so accessible, like celebrities coming out and doing what they do, and I have one of my biggest pet peeves is celebrity endorsement and celebrities coming out that have a voice, that are actually able to manipulate people and have their voice to use it to perpetuate this specific problem. And it drives me crazy. Like, you literally have power. You have this power, and you're going to manipulate it. Yeah. And it's like and that is one of my biggest pet peeves. And with social media, like it's social media has now become a news outlet. Social media has now become this, way of thought. And when going back to the what we're talking about here is that, how can you maintain morals in an industry where it's all just
the sex, like we were talking about before, yeah,
confusing. And it's like, all right, women's roles are literally to, like, every so often there's like a shift of what's sexy and what's not, and it's like, can you make my booty bigger? Okay, well, actually now I want it smaller because that's not in the trend, but actually, can you make my waist smaller, and can you make this so that my lats are bigger, so it creates the illusion of like, but I don't want an hourglass shape anymore because that's not what it now is. Heroin chic. So it's like, all right, well, I'm just going to tell you to go remove some ribs because I don't know what to do. Like, you know what I mean? It's so, it's insatiable. I have young clients. and I hurt for them.
Yeah, my heart hurts for them too, because you think about when we grew up and now what they're growing up in. They have the tenfold more exposure than we do, than we did.
Oh my gosh. Like, we had to literally take a camera. When we had digital cameras, we had the digital camera. Then it stayed on the camera for as long as somebody wanted to do the turnover. Maybe 30 days. Your friend was like, "Oh, guys, I finally have the pictures from last Saturday."
But with this instantaneous gratification, all that stuff. What the problem is that no one needs to define who they are, what they actually think is right and wrong, because at any moment they can just log on to the web and be like, well, these people think it's right, and you have literally a million people agreeing with you.
Yeah, it's worldwide acceptance, and we're normalizing what shouldn't be normalized.
Yes.
And the things that are normal and are good in your life, you will 100% be ostracized for it.
Yes.
And it's completely backwards.
And that's why we can't. The very first thing that I would say to answer the question of the podcast of what can we do to do morals is we have to define them first.
Yes.
Because if we don't do them proactively and reactively do them, the likelihood that you're just going to do what everyone else is doing is probably 99%, if not higher. Just we know that. So not to have peer pressure, not do the things that everyone else is doing, so then you just realize, how do you do that? You need to set the standard first. This goes for Christians, obviously, but even without being a Christian, set your standard. Set your standards
and stand firm in them.
And stand firm and write them down, and you have to stand firm in them, and you will feel the opposite way. As Christian, we know that is then the devil. You will feel the opposite way, but here's the thing. Satan isn't against good morals.
Yeah.
Satan is against Jesus Christ.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, because the main thing about Christianity is the authority of Jesus Christ.
Right.
Because you and I and all of us know you can be the most moral person and you are not going to be able to make it to heaven. Yeah. But here's the thing. The problem with dropping Jesus Christ, the truth, from the morals is then you get a bunch of people going around thinking that if they're just good enough, they're going to make it in. And that is where the devil wants you to be, because then
it's the half-truth.
You're not forcing anyone, because it's the lukewarm gets spit out.
Right.
It's the opposites that make the thing. You can either be gung-ho for Christ and attract people to Christ, or you can be completely a Satanist or a murderer.
Right.
Because I can go do a massive murder of 20,000 kids, whatever, I had to make it really...
It's a very high number. I'm a little concerned.
Exactly. I needed to make sure it wasn't like I'm saying this like it's true. But I could do that, and because of my hatred, cause 10 million people to love harder.
Yeah.
Because to try to contradict it. When I see a Satanist, I don't say anything, but normally my Christian friend will be like, "Oh, that is so sad. That's so sad." No, that Christian just made sadness and sorrow happen in a Christian's heart.
Yeah.
But a lukewarm person that has no left or right, does not stand in anything, will derail everybody.
Yes.
But if you are derailed, you're automatically accepted onto the losing side.
Yes.
If you are derailed. The only way to get to the winning side is to maintain your morals and have Jesus Christ be the author of those morals, because if not, you won't have the authority. You will deal with depression. You will deal with anxiety. You will deal with not understanding what the heck is going on, because you have been called. You are a Christian. If you are called, your ears are open, your eyes are open.
Yep.
And if you don't do what you say, no, you ought to do, which is live by the moral value of the Bible, you will struggle no matter what.
Well, I can attest to that. And also speaking from a standpoint of, very much being involved in the world and loving the world and the things of the world. And then my eyes were open to Jesus, not because of like anything that I did, but they were just opened. And I was like, I'm hurting, I'm in pain, right? And I didn't have anywhere else to turn to. And then he just opened my eyes. And so I started to see things differently, right? Of having this lens of like, oh my gosh, there is another, like the lens, like there is another light in this world. And it is not what everybody thinks it is. That's the wild part. And so you start doing things differently. You start dressing differently, not necessarily because scripture says, but because your heart has been made new. And
it's a higher calling to purity.
It's a higher calling.
Yes, but it's also that defined, like you said, like you both are saying, it's that little nucleus. You've identified that nucleus, and you say, okay, well, and you're saying, you know, I wanna honor and serve Jesus Christ, or maybe your nucleus is like, hey, I just want to, you know, have respect for myself, or if things like that. You specifically black and white define that, and every little subdivision off of that will now be a product of that you know, nucleus. So I think that is totally right. And what you're not doing things, you're not following rules. You're literally just pertaining to what you what my
belief is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Right, and what my belief, and so it stems into, like you were saying, it stems into every other part of my life. And so my eyes are just open. And so actually the reason why I'm transitioning up to Jupiter is because I'm looking at my life around me, and I'm working in a gym, and I'm like, it's too much. Like the stumbling block for me personally is too big, and there is too much that's not aligning with what I believe in. And I had to take a stand, and I had to make a decision. Am I going to leave? And so I'm leaving, and I'm no longer working in the fitness industry, but that's because of what I think is best for me.
Yeah.
Because it's too much of a stumbling block. And I have tried to like mold my morals into the fitness industry, and it's been too much of a challenge. Like I keep stumbling. I'm like, how do I do this, Lord? Like, I gotta say, you know?
Yeah.
But it can be really hard. So in the beginning of making those, define what that moral is for you and stand firm in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is a Christian podcast, so this isn't going to be a surprise to any listeners. But even if there is listeners out there that aren't Christians, it does work. It's what you believe. You have set the morals. It will get you there. But here's the thing. That's what I did. That's how I found this. I turned pro. I achieved all that I could. I looked good. All that stuff, and it never satisfied, because if you really start asking that question of why are you created, why are you here, you have to get back to some form of deity, or it's just some form of I'm not going to think about it.
Or else it's insatiable, right?
Oh, exactly.
It's insatiable. I look this good, but I can look a little bit better.
But you're chasing the high.
But here comes the fitness industry normalized saying never be satisfied.
Yes.
You know,
because that's glamorized.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But I was talking about to Ciera about this. I say that about one other thing. I'm never satisfied with my wife.
Right.
I am never satisfied with my kids. I'm never satisfied with my money or my job. And everyone would be like, you sound miserable. But if I go, I'm never going to be satisfied in the gym. How many people are going to clap?
They're going to be like, 100%.
Way to go, get going.
It's about the grind. It's about the grind.
Yeah.
Are you hurting every day?
Pain is just weakness leaving the body.
Pain is just weakness leaving the body.
Oh, what GMC? You versus you. I'm sorry, I don't want bipolarness.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you. I'm good.
If it's you versus you, that means one has to lose, and it sounds like I'm losing because But they normalize these things. But that's what the devil does. He comes in and creeps up, just like how he did with Eve in the garden. He said, hey, are you really who you are? Did God really say that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. You want to be like God? Eat that apple, because you'll be like God. Do it. And she did it, and which was admirable, to be like God. We all should be like that. But she did it in a way that made her God, and not submitting to God, the one, and how things should be. And here's fitness, and why I'm doing what I'm doing is because you have to define the why behind to your fitness, to anything. And if you are not doing it for a reason that makes sense, you do not want to climb the ladder to the highest building and realize your ladder's on the wrong building.
Yeah.
It is the worst place to be. People commit suicide there. They lose husbands and wives, and they all these things. And the worst would be is knowing it as a Christian, you get to the very end and you go, oh, whoops, that was the truth. Oh no.
Yeah. Oopsies. Yeah.
Won't be no oopsie.
And it's you're absolutely right. And you know, I think that is such a good thing to say, as far as kind of like having that absolutely defined moral. So I think that, once again, going back to, how can we maintain our morals and our values in such a superficial environment? And Ciera touched on the fact that she was, she tried and you tried to really kind of influence the masses, and it was really difficult. And Ciera and I share in that, we try to, and I can always do better, and I try to influence, something maybe a little bit more wholesome, something a little bit with maybe more integrity, something more so with like traditional values. I feel like I am blessed with opportunities consistently, and I have made some, and I notice certain things happen in my life. Like, I just made a decision. I was in a relationship, and it was a bit of a toxic relationship. The day that I vowed to just say, you know what? And it was a year of going back and forth. And the day that I was like, I'm going to surrender this, and I am hurting, and I'm going to surrender this. That day, someone was like, there's someone I want you to meet. And it wasn't even like, and it was just a wonderful person, a wonderful meeting that never ever happens. It never ever happens where things are done organically. And then I just got a text from a friend from high school that I haven't talked to in years, and he said, hey, I'm at North Broward, and I'm working with these kids, and he does a speed school for free for these kids. And he's like, and I want to do something for their parents. Would you want to come and train their parents? Giving me another opportunity to kind of, place myself in vulnerable environments, with people like that. So I feel like I'm just continuously given these opportunities. So I have to take them on, as hard as it is to kind of like take myself out of certain situations. And I fail. Oh my gosh, do I fail? And I fail, and I take it on. And when I justify red flags when I don't see them, when I got my blinders on, I'm always just like, no, but, and it is literally like, okay, now I'm going to punch you in the face with it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's like, and I notice it every time, and it touches on something that you said. It's so much easier in retrospect to live according to that defined moral.
Always.
It's so much easier because you can, but you don't, unfortunately, you don't realize it until retrospect, but it's that leap of me saying, you know what? I surrender this. I've been going back and forth for a year, just drilling myself into the ground, thinking that it's going to be better. It's going to be that. Never got better. So it's like the day I surrender, things change. The next day, things change. Yeah. Boom. And it's but only in retrospect. Only in retrospect can you see that. And that's where blind faith comes in. And that's saying, you know what? I'm going to live and define myself by these morals just like you have. And I'm going to say I am now going to change my body or do what I want and manipulate my body in a way that serves the Lord, that, eat a certain way and you have this, and it's with nutrition too. It can all be,
oh, absolutely.
It's nutrition too.
Oh yeah. And I like what you were saying, because I actually didn't write too many notes down of how it was actually going to go. But what you were saying was what I would say would be the second point, is we first have to define those values, whatever they are. If you can't say the Bible right away, okay, define them. Then do them. And if they're not serving you, test out a different one.
Yeah.
Test it out.
Yep.
This isn't just morals. This is anything in the gym. If what you are doing is not serving you, if you are unable to do it, even if it works and is working for everybody else, if you can't do it, test something else.
Yes.
Because there's always another way. And even with morals, I wouldn't say it's with morals because I'm a Christian, but you'll probably find Christ if you define your morals and actually sit them down. And then when one doesn't serve you, go test out another one and truly test it.
Yes.
Truly get into an uncomfortable area. And if you go and test Christianity and truly jump in, I promise you, it will always return tenfold, hundredfold,
course.
because my God promised that.
Yeah.
The other ones won't, but you will at least then, if it is the wrong one, you then have the experience of it.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you get that hindsight 2020.
Yes.
You know, and you look at that, and as long as you're serving my God, you then can be like, well, I'm going to rejoice in my trials. It just produced endurance, and my endurance produced my strength of character, and my character produced my hope in God. So all's good.
Right. But it's
Yeah, and it's a cycle. And I believe, Christian or non-Christian, when you start defining your morals and what you will stand for, and you actually stand by them, I think you'll start to see too what actually really matters in life.
Yes.
And so when you even coming into the gym, this is like the revelation that I had. I'm like, Ciera, you really need to work glutes twice a week. Like, you really need to do bicep, tricep day, and then back in chest. I'm like, are those things really important for you? Right. Mm-hmm. So you start dropping those, and then you start noticing like actual physical recovery of like, because of the years of putting stress on your body. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I get 3 days off. Like, so what? I only worked out 2 days a week. So what? Like, but you feel great, and you look at it from a broader spectrum of, you actually start to see what's really important. And I'm not talking about someone who might be severely obese, who might need to work out 4 or 5 days a week.
Specifically for aesthetic reasons.
Exactly, for aesthetic reasons. And I think once you start defining those morals and start standing in them, you will get the broader spectrum of like looking at your life longevity, and then wide span of like what's actually really important.
Yes.
Well, that right there is what I would say then is like the third and final point is, what is that why behind it? The whole thing behind why to fitness is because you were saying like, hey, I could speak to it a little bit more as a parent. When you're raising children, you have the greatest blank slate in the world. Yeah. I truly believe this is why postpartum depression happens, because you just did something that was a true goal and a true prize at the end, the best thing in the world, a child. And now all of a sudden you're back to, you need to go receive your dopamine again and get something done. And if you are, if you had this blank slate child, if you are an anxious person, you're going to have a kid that's reacting to an anxious person.
Right.
So they become the best mirrors in the world.
Yeah.
If you are short, they become short. We know this.
Yeah.
So with that right there, as a child's coming up, what do they always ask? Why? Why?
Yeah.
And that's what I did as well. So why are we doing anything? So within our morals, we have to define them, yes, and test them, yes. But we have to ask, wait a minute, why am I having the moral in the first place?
Right.
Yeah.
What is the ultimate goal of having this moral, of having this? And for me, you then put that blanket term, success. Well, I want to be successful, and you then get to define it how you want. And okay, me, I take the biblical John 14:27. Jesus said, I've come to give you peace of mind and heart. This is a peace that the world cannot give. So do not be troubled or dismayed, for I have overcome the world.
Yeah.
You see, this peace of mind and heart, that is what true success is. It doesn't matter how much little or how little or much or little you have. It's all about, are you doing what you need to be doing, period.
Yes.
Yeah.
That will give you peace of mind and heart. So when you're looking for the morals, ask yourself that question. What is going to give me the most peace of mind and heart? And if you say it's a 6-pack, be my guest. Go spend 4 years down it.
Right.
And I promise you it won't be it, but then you will learn it.
Yeah.
That has nothing. And the sooner you realize that nothing in this world is going to give you that peace of mind of heart, other than realizing who created you, why he created you, and walking in that purpose. But with anything in fitness, it's not just but relationship, raising kids, finances, any type of goal achievement. Ask yourself, what is going to give me the most peace of mind and heart?
Yes.
To make sure that I am doing what I need to do. Define the goal. I want to do a marathon. Cool. What will give me the most peace of mind and heart that I'm doing all that I can to successfully achieve that goal?
Yes.
And you ask that, and that's all you need to do today. Don't worry about tomorrow, because you may make a plan and you didn't realize how sore you were going to get on Monday.
Right.
You didn't understand that you didn't catch your sleep on Sunday. You didn't know in all these things, so therefore you can't just stick with the plan just because the plan said so. that's not really going to be great unless if it's just for that competition. I get the little
Right.
area. But you then sit here and go, wait a minute, that was the plan, but I know I just exhausted myself. I didn't know I was going to go on that bender.
Yeah.
So since I know that, what will give me the most peace of mind and heart that will guarantee that I'm getting there in the most effective, efficient way?
But let's talk about for a second how you even get to that point, because I think we know that what gives us life experience is going through the experience and seeing our failures.
Yeah.
And seeing what doesn't work and what does work, right? That's the beautiful thing about having life, is that we are given an opportunity to test and trial. What works, what does not work for you. Eventually, everybody is looking for joy. They're looking for peace in their life. They're looking for stability. These are foundational things. And you will do, whether you realize it or not, you'll look for it in whatever direction. If it's money that you're seeking, well, it's like you said, you'll get that 8-pack, 6-pack, whatever, 2 years down the road and realize, this doesn't really
Right.
It's
that's the opportunity.
Yeah.
That's the opportunity that you are given. You said that beautifully. And it's like you are, that literally we have, as humans, we have the freedom, we have the ability to trial and error and then mess up and endure.
Yeah, right.
We also have the ability to endure. He gives us that ability.
And you know what I love about all of this too is that so talks about this, Paul talks about this in 2 Corinthians, but Christian, non-Christian, I think it's true for everybody. We go through suffering and afflictions for ourselves, but more so for the purpose of others.
That's amazing, and that's so true.
You go through life experience, of course it's going to be for you, and it's going to build you up and help you, equip you for what you need in life experience. But more than that, it's because there's a person in your life who needs to hear what you went through. And they need your experience, and they need that comfort that you have received. They also need that comfort as well.
Yeah.
And even in the gym, right? That's why I love having a coach to come into and say, "Hey, I've tried this. It doesn't work. Trust me. I've been there, done that. It doesn't work." Right. But just having that experience is such a blessing. So it is a blessing to be able to go through something and say, "Yeah, that didn't really work," or even to be able to say, for a relationship, for example, I loved this person, but I realized it did not work out, and this is why it didn't work out. But to be able to say, like, man, even though I went through a hardship, it was actually a blessing, because who I became out of that and who I was able to help because of that has been such a huge blessing.
Yeah, that's my story too. All my worst things, taking steroids, my binge eating disorder, my bulimia, my divorce, my addiction to marijuana, the list just goes on, because I've been through all that. But God saved me from all of it. Now, I literally can probably talk to anybody and have something where they're going to go like, "No, you didn't." They're like, "What do you mean? I smoked Roxy's off tinfoil and chased the dragon." Yes, I have. Actually, and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
It's like,
and now I'm here.
Exactly. Like, I've been out of this many DUIs, so many different things. Like, yes, try not to get it from the experience. The best teacher is somebody else's experience. That's the best one. But the most powerful teacher is your own experience.
Yes.
So knowing that, but that's why we are so lucky to have a God that has mercy and grace to allow us to test it out, to truly question him, because that's where I wanted to be successful, but my version of success was, how can I get the most, like you guys were saying, with the least amount of effort. It was my downfall. I started caning, doing so much, and I was just so unhappy. But not only do I then be able to have the story of saying, hey, none of this is going to survive or any of that, great, but now I have a much bigger testimony, story, feeling, ability to even relatability and being able to have empathy for somebody else because I went through that.
Or someone to say, I'm going through this, and you'd be like, me too, and I've been through it, and I got here, and I'm an example.
And the cool thing is because I was lazy, because I was trying to do everything the least amount of work for the most amount of effort, it literally gave me a superpower to help out and look at other people.
That's what I call it. Our
my
superpower.
to look at other people and say, hey, I can see the big picture here. Here's the one domino that if you push this little one, it will cause 80% of your thing. And I have that ability within fitness to be able to see it. It's my prophetic gift, I call it, from God. But that's because I spent so much time beating myself. I'm still doing it. I call myself lazy all the time. I've achieved so much, but I call myself lazy. Why? Because I haven't been doing what I know I ought to be doing.
Yeah.
I do so much else. I ain't lazy in the gym, but to tell you the truth, I am, because I'm trying to do the least amount of effort while I'm in there.
Right.
And I stuck in that for so long until I realized, wait a minute, I have to do what gives me most peace of mind and heart. What is that?
Yes.
Well, it's not the results that gives you peace of mind and heart. It's the obedience that gives you the peace of mind and heart. And the only thing we have been called to obey is to love God and to love others. That literally is everything.
And that's going to umbrella down.
And it always umbrellas. So if you are taking your goals and you take in your fitness goals, the best way to make keep morals in the gym is try to make all your goals love-based, not fear-based. Because if you do something fear-based of I need to lose weight, it's actually you actually don't. The goal is not to lose weight; it's to not be fat.
Right.
You know, like the goal to lose weight means you always have to have weight to lose, or else the goal doesn't even make sense.
Right.
You see, so you can't do it fear to I need to make more money, fear of having too little. I need to have a wife or a husband, fear of being alone. You know, all these things. But if you make them love-based, well, I want to have a nice body because I'm in the fitness realm, and it will attract other people into it that don't know Christ, and I'll be able to talk to Christ about it. Now I have been called to have a better body. Yeah. And I can justify it, and I'm actually called to it.
Yes.
Now I'm not beating it, but the moment I deny pizza because of it, and I'm not having pizza with that unbeliever right there,
then that doesn't.
I just got selfish.
Right.
When the whole thing was for others.
Right.
It's the
and
same.
that doesn't bring me joy and peace.
And doesn't bring me joy and peace because you didn't do it for love. You all of a sudden at that moment your goal wasn't to reach out because you were literally about to achieve your goal of helping another person, yet you destroyed it with the method and in the facts. But we are called to be transformed by the renewing of our mind and not to copy patterns of this world.
Right.
Because we know that the devil himself even comes disguised as an angel of light. Yeah. All of his demons are going to come in disguised as a righteous leader. Yeah. And that's what's so bad is it's not just the gym, but it's really showcases in the gym of dropping standards and making your own false religion just because I didn't agree with those 3 things, but I'll hold on to all these things. Well, you lost your authority then. If you're willing to think that is a better way because you're holding on to sex before marriage and one other thing or whatever it is or whatever your vices are, and you think it's better that way, you lose your authority and it will never be that better then, no matter what. No matter what. Yes, you could be per se happy, but good is the enemy of great. Right. And God always has the greatest for you.
I like that.
Good is
the enemy of great. I love that. And that's so cool. And I think, going back to ultimately what, we've been saying as far as that core belief, and even if you just make it small. So, and I love what you said about don't worry about tomorrow, just make it right now. I remember when I was going through some really funky stuff, and I had, and I would literally just have to look at the next 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was in
your podcast. I heard it.
Yeah, man. I was in, treatment from inpatient to residential to outpatient to I lived in Wisconsin for a month. For a year and a half. By the way,
that's where I'm from.
Oh, I'm sorry. I am so sorry. Okay.
Well, anyways, we digress. I'm sorry.
But it was literally just because I was like, no, but then I'm not going to work. I'm not going to have it for a year. And for a year and a half, I was in this, my OCD and anxiety literally took me out, and I idolized it. Yeah. And I almost idolized, and I fell into the trap of sickness, and I became this slave to sickness, and it was wild, and it was a crazy experience. We'll talk about that another day, but it's at the end of the day,
I'll put in the show notes your podcast if you'd like.
Sure. I would love that.
Put it, so anyone go to the show notes. I'll hook in the podcast that she talked about it. It was a good one. It was really
thank you
really
so
touching.
much, Aaron.
And I do have a question off that. You going through all those things, would you say you're stronger now than you were beforehand?
100%. my decision making now. And that's why, and even though it got so bad to the point where I would just lay down at night in my bed and write notes to myself, please don't hurt yourself, please don't hurt, and just write notes to myself and stay up all night. I would listen to rain. I would listen to the sound of rain for 10 hours straight just to not, and I was like, please don't, just stay here. And I would write notes to myself through the night, and I'll never forget those moments, because somebody, even today, I was at the gym and someone said to me, I had a panic attack this weekend, and she looked really sad about it and really scared, and I was like, and she goes, have you ever had one of those? And I was like, oh honey, I'm actually having one right now and you just don't know. I'm like, have I had one of those? Oh, that was a good day. That was actually a Tuesday, and that was a really good day. But it was able for me to have some form of relatability, and I looked at her and I said, oh honey, yes, and you're okay. And and you don't have to. And I just kind of nailed some things down. In that little 2 minutes, she was like, oh, because it was really scary. That's very scary to happen to someone. And you have all these bodily functions that are weird, and, weird stuff happens. But anyways, I was told to look at just the next 5 minutes, because I would start freaking out about the next hour. And I was like, I don't think I could get through the next 5 minutes. And they're like, the 5 minutes. And when we get to that 5 minutes, we're going to cross that bridge when we get there. And that's all there is to it. And I think that's really cool. And I think even in the gym environment, if you just have a goal of being like, hey, you know what, let's take, my own certain experiences, or not my own certain, but if someone wants to say, okay, I want to be a better girlfriend, I want to be a better wife, I want to be a better husband, and you have that as your solidarity and everything. If you want to be a better husband, how, this next decision I'm going to make, is this going to relate exactly to this core belief that I have? So I want to be a better husband. I'm going to scroll through Instagram right now. Is that going to specifically, you know what I mean?
Right.
And actually, I heard a really good message at church one time, and it said, don't open doors you don't need to open.
Oh, that's
because
so true.
we are all humans.
Yeah.
So we're all humans.
We're
so
weak.
We're weak.
We're weak
so
humans.
Why open that door? Why entertain?
Yep.
So it's like, it's like, and I had in a relationship I was in, it was like, even if I was, one of the things that, we struggled with was some insecurities on both sides. And he said, even if I was in a room with 40 beautiful and the most beautiful women in the world, and I was like, why would you be in that room? Why would you know what I mean?
It's a great
and I
question.
said, and he's like, because I'm going to be in those experiences, I'm going to be in those times sometimes. And I said, but wait, why do that to yourself?
Yeah.
Why even open that door?
Right.
Put safeguards in.
Because to be, first of all, the person that you are today is not going to necessarily be the same person that you are 5 years from now, because you are informing yourselves of decisions, and so your morals are constantly growing.
Yes.
You are growing. And so how can you tell me that you can sit here and predict a decision that you're going to make 10 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 1 year down the road, because you are I would assume most people want to grow, right? And exactly right. So we open up portals for ourselves that put us down the rabbit hole.
Yes.
And it's like, why would you intentionally do that to yourself? Because you are seeking wiggle room in your life for pleasure, for instant gratification.
Yes.
You're looking for validity. You're looking for this feeling of assurance. You're looking for things, and sometimes you don't even know that, right? That's like when you go through those constant scrolls on Instagram, you're like, why am I still doing this? Why am I still doing this? Because we're seeking pleasure.
Yeah.
We're seeking a form of pleasure.
Or how can I be better than this person? Oh, that person looks too good.
And that's what most people are really just searching after, is that pleasure and all that stuff. But I do, because we are getting close to ending, you're going to have to go to train. I did just actually got a question. You started answering it even while I was writing it down, but for people that are not following their values, for Christians that know that's their values and they're not doing it, for non-Christians that are cheating when they know they shouldn't be, or eating things that they shouldn't be, not doing their values, showing off things that they feel bad about but still are, whatever. What would be, because you mentioned the first, you mentioned just a second ago one of them, but what would you say for those people not following their values how can you do it? How can you start following your values? You said don't go to the places that give you, put safeguards into place.
Yeah.
What you were saying was one way that you can not,
I
know my values, but I'm not following them. So one is put a safe way, like don't go on the site.
Make
don't
it
go
easier
to the
for
club.
yourself.
Well, I think
Why-
one question you have to ask yourself is, do you even want those things?
Right.
You got to get real with you.
Well, yeah. So that's what my question is, because so many Christians, they know what they need to do.
Yeah.
Or at least they think they do. The 6 laws that
Yeah.
they know, or
Yeah.
the commands that they hold on to themselves that hold more dear to them, whatever it is. So many people know they should be praying, but they don't.
Right.
They know they should be reading the Bible, but they don't. They
but
know
why
they.
why don't they?
Why
right?
don't they? Is my question. What is a step that they could take to start
Yeah.
following their morals,
Right.
to stop posting the things in the gym
Right.
and start following their morals? They're doing it.
Yes.
They feel bad about it. Their mom's yelling at them.
Right.
Their dad disowned them because it's their little girl and she's showing too much skin, but it's all she knows. But
Right.
she wants the other side. What would be the advice either of you would give to that girl or that person stuck in that situation?
Yeah, well, I would say first you'd have to, like I said, first ask yourself, do you want to change?
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to change, well, you're not going to change.
And until you want to, and that's usually at a funky time.
Yeah, it's usually at a funky time.
And that
And
means
then
you can't want anything else more than it too, because
Right.
everyone wants to be big, tall, skinny, jacked, all this
Yeah.
other stuff, but no one wants to do
So-
the things that. So
Right.
they would rather want to
Yeah.
do other things more.
So, and then another thing too, I would say, so, and I think this is very applicable to anyone who's even not, who doesn't believe in the Lord or, Christian, non-Christian, whatever. So one verse that really helped me was in Matthew 7. It says, ask and you will receive, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open to you. So that means that there is a responsibility on your end too of seeking for, if you know that you want to have good morals, but you don't know how to achieve them, then find someone in your life that has good
Yes,
morals.
a community, correct?
Yeah.
Find
Mentor,
someone. If you won't run to scripture, find someone that does have these good morals that you want. Just look at their life and say, do you like how their life is shaping? Like,
Right.
Do you like who they are as a person? Do you like, well, then ask them questions
Right.
and start seeking. And I guarantee you will get answers provided.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful. And I think that, last thing I'll say here is that you said that beautifully in asking, do you want the change? But I think if you get, like you said, get real with yourself, like cut the crap, cut the crap, get real with yourself and say, all right, I don't want to post as much on social media. Put in writing why you post so much on
Yes.
social
Yes.
media. Put
Put it in
why.
writing,
Put it
folks.
in writing and say, hey, it's for attention. It's to you feed my ego. It's to look better than other people. And if you read those things and you're proud of those things that you're reading, then you can say, okay, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to be too proud. So you're not going to say, if you were to be talking to someone and say, hey, I am seeking attention. I am, fueling my ego. I am living for others. If you cannot say those things blatantly out and be proud of yourself,
Yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I do that every day. Like, I'll just be like mindlessly scrolling on Instagram
Yeah.
and be like, man, I wish I could go to Greece.
Me too.
I wish I could go to Greece. It looks so cool.
Unfortunately, I sometimes do it. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
now I'm in Colombia
Whatever.
3 days
We
later.
all
Yeah,
do
right.
it. There is not a single person who does
this
not.
isn't great. Yeah. So it's like, and I just find myself, and so if you're able to like map out why do you have to, put your skin out there on Instagram for something that should be kept mysterious and kept precious for
Yeah.
your partner, somebody
Yeah.
that you want to love and serve and all those things. So what is your intention? And if you
Right.
can write those down blatantly
Yeah.
and be like, you know what, I'm kind of proud of that. I'm not gonna, and then you know what, you're not ready to change it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that you can be honest to say this is actually what I'm seeking, put it down on paper, I think you're at a great start.
Great start.
Even if you are proud of those things and you're not ready to change, at least you were honest enough with yourself.
Yeah, being
Yeah.
able to just
Yeah.
ask why to it and honestly being able
Yeah.
to, because people will work hard for a what, but they'll give their life for a why.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They really will. So,
Absolutely.
but unfortunately, most people don't ask those questions, even
Yeah.
of themselves.
Yeah.
And they just get molded by everything else around them. And that's why it's just so important to lean and go back into Scripture of Proverbs 3:5-8, to trust the Lord God with all your heart. Don't depend on your own understanding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we know the heart is sinful,
deceitful.
is deceitful beyond reach. But then, and seek His will in all that you do, and He'll show you which path to take. But here's 7 and 8 that people don't really know. Don't be impressed by your own wisdom. Instead, fear the Lord and turn away from evil. Then you will have healing for your body and strength for your bones.
I love that.
And when you are a Christian,
Yeah.
if you are not depending on your own understanding and you are actually searching God in all that you do, He will show you the path to take, the best one to take. And then you will have the healing and strength for your bones. So yes, bodybuilders, if you want to get stronger, you got to give your life to Christ.
Yes.
I'm telling you how God says it.
Awesome. That's a great way to end the
With,
show,
with
too.
my God, I can scale any armor,
Period.
any wall, defeat any
let's
army.
go.
Yes.
It's just all it is. But you
Newest Marvel superhero right here.
But no, in all seriousness, though, folks, it really is all about the why. Because if, like I said, you don't want to get to the end and find your ladder on the wrong building.
Yeah.
It can be gone at any moment. Which I actually want to just draw a little attention to the wall behind us right now. If you just want to speak on it, we're just real quickly.
Oh, yeah, sure. So that was our brother, huge part of this gym. We honor him in how he brought great energy, great positivity, so much love. And we unfortunately, August 13th was his last board that he wrote, and he unfortunately passed that day.
Man.
Tragically and suddenly, and we miss him dearly. Andy, we love you, and I know he had the kind of heart that they want up there in heaven. So he's
and that's why I have you two here, because I gotta just be blunt with just everybody. Life is short. It can go at any moment. Your ticket can be called at any moment. And that's why it's so important to be following your values, because you don't want to just get to the end and be like, oh, whoops, I didn't do anything I wanted to do or should have done, because this is a life and death thing. And I had you guys on here because both of you are in the fitness realm, and both of you want to truly help people. And if we only focus on this life, we're missing the 99.999. I could say this for the rest of my life, nines. We're missing all of what's really important. And that's why we got to follow this. It will not, but here's the thing, it will benefit our life currently and the future. So it's not just like, oh, you're not going to have fun. No, God wants you to have fun. God wants you to succeed.
Yeah, and way more fun than you think.
And He actually is the king of everything and owns everything. So if you want to win, go on the winning team.
The time is now.
Humble yourself.
Yes. But we could talk here all day. Thank you just so much for joining me again. Ciera, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And Abby, thank you for finally making this happen. I know we were trying to make this happen.
And it couldn't have been better.
Yes.
Yeah,
and
this
finally,
is great.
the devil tried to attack Ciera saying, hey, I'm busy. I'm like, no.
Yeah, but she was like, I can make it.
Normally I celebrate those things because I'm the lazy one. But I'm like, no. I'm like, oh, I don't have to do what I need. I can do it tomorrow. Why do today? What can be done tomorrow?
I'm the best person to cancel plans on. Like, please. It is encouraged.
The funny thing is half the time you cancel. All the times you cancel, I'm like, oh, thank God.
See, you never know.
But this happened to be perfect. I really just love what we were talking about.
Man, that was good.
For sure. And where can you can say where they can find you again, Ciera. Where can they find you if they want to follow you on social media or anything? First, Ciera, you can go again and then finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, oh my gosh, I think my hashtag, my handle, what are they calling it?
Yeah.
I think it's Ciera Clemons. I'm not even 100% sure, but
I believe it is.
I think that's what
it'll
it is.
be in the notes.
Yes, I'll put it in the notes for sure.
So you can find me on social media, my personal page. Obviously, if you have any questions regarding struggles with mental health, anything regarding bringing kind of this light into the fitness world, I'd love to bounce ideas off of people. It's _ ABBEY Hilton HILTON _ so _ Abbey Hilton _ and then you can find us at Focus Functional Fit. That's our kind of mothership here. It's at Focus Functional Fit. Our website is www.focusfunctionalfit.com. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you guys, some good feedback, probably a little controversy, I'm sure.
Maybe a little.
Of course.
Maybe a little.
Hey,
but
that's okay.
listen, it is what it is. So thank you so much, Aaron. That was awesome.
Yes,
and
thank
Ciera, you
welcome.
are just an angel
Yes,
here
thank
on
you.
earth.
I don't know
So-
about that, but
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Goodbye.
Yes.
yes.